following is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com. So people can see who you are. For those of you who may not know, we've started this show, I think it was back in late June, and Mayor Welch has been gracious enough to joined us once, and then we just decided to make it kind of a recurring invitation or whatever. So folks, if you're in the Lincoln area, if you have questions for the mayor or comments, 217-648-5510 is the number to call here at the station, or you can email us your questions or comments, 4pm411 at WLCNonline.com, and we will answer those for you as best we can live on the air. So I'm a little flustered here because I think it was Shakespeare who said, to err is human, to really foul things up requires a computer. So we're going with that second option today, unfortunately. Okay. Last few times you've been on, we've talked about some of the businesses and updates, things being built, things that are going to be built that may be kind of stalled out. Can you kind of update us on where things stand with some of the projects we've talked about in the past, such as, you said there were no developments with Lincoln College. We've talked about Taco Bell, we've talked about Burger King, we've talked about the new Domino's across the way. And then, as you brought to my attention last night, because I've been in my own little world, the City Council voted about the new business downtown or near downtown coming to town.
You're talking about the non-retail cannabis,
right?
So a lot of people have got that confused that it's actually going to go downtown, when in fact they were just looking at downtown, one of the buildings, as a potential location for it. But that is a new business that I expect we'll see an application coming through anytime. A couple gentlemen, they approached the city a short while ago about this. They weren't too successful in being able to establish business in Springfield, so they came and talked to us. It's a great opportunity for the city of Lincoln. The products that they're manufacturing is hemp, and it's infusion and things like gummy bears and edibles and things like that. It's strictly manufacturing. There's no front desk retail to be had in that. And then there's a craft grow license, so imagine Cresco, but on a very small scale, and that's manufacturing as well. So those businesses are regulated by the state, just like the marijuana industry, heavily regulated. But there's no retail front, which is why we call them non-retail establishments. So we don't know where they'll be, but we do know that we'll likely be seeing them soon.
And for those who were on social media, that actually there was discussion, I guess it was last month, where one of the owners came to the board and sort of fielded some questions.
He did.
And got some feedback from the board, and board got some information perhaps they felt they needed before rendering a decision. But sounds like in the end, everything's going to work out for them to settle in here in Lincoln somewhere.
Yeah, and the benefits to the city are pretty good. I mean, it's probably another 30 plus jobs that's being created, and they're very community oriented. But one of the other pieces to this is a stipulation of getting that license from the state of Illinois is that they provide community funds to the community that they operate in. So we don't know exactly what that's going to be, but one of those owners themselves has told myself and others at the city that it could be hundreds of thousands of dollars that the city sees, and it's a great opportunity for the city of Lincoln.
Sounds good. So any of the other businesses I mentioned with that have been construction projects or things that have were being started and then sort of delayed due to COVID or supply issues or whatever, any updates on any of those that you know of?
No other developments. I did look into your question about what's going on out at Cisco, and what I've been told is that's the Roanoke Concrete company relocating out there. So yep, more development out there. Probably outgrown that space on Kickapoo that they had. So
that's a good thing, I suppose.
Always a good thing
from a business standpoint. So 217-648-5510. I will apologize in advance because, like I said, we're kind of at the mercy of the computer here unless our fearless leader Jim Ash logs in remotely and works his magic. So we may get random commercials, or we heard from Brushville a little bit earlier. So bear with us, and we will try to avoid those as best we can. We are talking, as I mentioned, with Mayor Tracy Welch from Lincoln. Next week, we will have Jennifer DeWeese from Capsule, who is the CEO there. Has been there for a few months now. And then in 2 weeks, we'll be talking with Paul Cronin, who is the CEO of i3 Broadband, who's going to tell us about their excursion into town here. So, but today we do have the mayor, Tracy Welch. You've got an event coming up. It is October, and I think you mentioned to me before it was one of the events that you kind of look for. One of the, I'm sure, fielding as mayor, you field complaints and get calls about all sorts of issues. This is probably one aspect of the job that actually is a little bit more rewarding and kind of helps balance out some of those not so fun issues that you may have to deal with.
Yeah, it is. Trick or Treat with the Mayor is something that started before I was the mayor, but it's a tradition that when I took over I wanted to continue. It's a great opportunity to just give back a little to the community. I love seeing the creativity with the kids and the costumes and the characters they dress up. And I also get to interact with their parents, a little bit while we're there. And then when we're done with the kids and they go through downtown, then typically my wife and I will walk around downtown and talk with the businesses as well. So it's a great event. I'm glad we can still do it.
Right, and that takes place Saturday, October 29th from 10 a.m. to noon around downtown Lincoln. Now, for those who may not be aware, it is trick or treat with the mayor, but there's actually, I think you just alluded to it, there's businesses downtown that also participate in one form or another.
Yeah, so the way the process works is we ask you to come to Latham Park, and then when you come up to the pavilion in the middle, then I'll be there, and I usually dress up. I'm not sure what I'm going to go as this year. I'm kicking around some ideas.
What did you dress up as last year?
I've been the lion from The Wizard of Oz. I was Cat in the Hat one year, Ghostbusters last year.
All right.
Something nostalgic and fun.
Okay.
But typically we like to give out a small bag of candy to get the kids started, and then we provide a map of all of the participating businesses in the downtown area for the parents. And then they used to walk them in lines, and that became logistically challenging.
I'm sure.
Getting kids across streets in long lines, and you had multiple lines crossing each other. So now we just let the parents take their kids, and that worked out pretty well. So once they come see the mayor and get some candy, then they can go talk to the businesses, and they're handing out candy as well.
Okay. Yeah, I would imagine that would be kind of like herding kittens after a while, as far as keeping all the kids in lines and multiple lines. And even though the event does run, I believe it starts at 10 o'clock, is that right?
Yep.
And you might have people showing up later than others, so maybe lines have taken off and others are forming. So I can see your point there. Excuse me. And then in your email to me, you also mentioned you've got a November event coming up as well that you had before in trying to get or trying to sort of get out there amongst the people and give people an opportunity to speak with you about different issues or comments about things that perhaps they want to discuss with the mayor.
Yeah, we did that last month, and it was a really good turnout. The event is Coffee with the Mayor, and it will take place in November, on November 12th from 9 to 10. It'll take place at Flossie and Delzina's. That's where we're going to host this time. Okay. We're trying to spread a little love. We did it at Guest House before, but if you have any questions, I'll be there between 9 and 10 to answer any questions. Come get a free coffee on me, and we'll sit down and talk about the things that the good, the bad, and the ugly, and worst case, we'll get you answers. It may not be the answer you like, but I'll definitely get you the answer. And I like to bring people along with me from different perspectives. So last month, Alderman Hofel and Alderman Bateman were there. Okay. I'll probably ask an alderman or two to join me because they represent the wards, and so it's good to get their perspective on things too. Okay,
so once again, that's November 12th?
November 12th.
November 12th,
from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m.
At least 10 a.m. Last time you said you'll stay as long as people are showing up, and weren't you there 2 or 3 hours?
Yeah, we were there 2 hours.
So
we went till 11. At 11, about 11:15, I'm like, I really gotta get out of here. So
understandable. So once again, our guest today, Mayor Tracy Welch. 217-648-5510, the number to call if you have questions or comments for Mayor Welch. Or you can email us 4pm411 at WLCNonline.com. Once again, we're a little held hostage by our computer here today because of our program log, but we're making the best of it. Unfortunately, that means we don't have commercials to give us a chance to catch our breath and regroup, so we're just going to power on here.
Yeah.
I believe last time you were here, you mentioned that as summer was ending and seasons, starting to get into fall and starting to cool, some of the outdoor projects that you were working on, just trying to wrap those up, and now you're moving into some of the, I wouldn't necessarily call it busy work, but maybe more administrative desk-type tasks, where reports and things like that. Is there anything you're digging into there that might be of interest to the community?
There's always something going on with the city. We are still in the middle of the road repavement targets. So if you've been around town and seen roads that have new surfacing, various surfaces, we're wrapping that up. But now our departments are getting prepared for winter. Each department comes with different challenges, from police to fire to our streets and alleys. I mean, we see it all. Mm-hmm. And so we're just taking the topics as they come to us. We're trying to move them through the process as fast as we can. And like, for instance, one of the things we're working on is some of the downtown buildings. Some of those are in disrepair. Mm-hmm. And I have no solid news to share with you, but I can tell you that we're talking about them.
Okay, very good. I believe we have a caller here, so if I don't hang up on them, if you want to don the headphones there. Caller, do you have a question for the mayor?
Yes, I do. I was just kind of curious of where we were at on that 5th Street road project.
Okay. So last night at City Council, we approved a permanent easement for a parcel out on 5th Street, and that's contingent upon the offer being signed and wrapped up, but that is the last one that we have to acquire out there. There's some other paperwork and things that we need to go through regarding some of the other easements, but for the most part, we've got an agreement on all of them, so if we can wrap all of that up, then we can get on IDOT's schedule and start talking about breaking some ground.
Okay. Before, when we were talking about summer projects, you mentioned there were different things, the roads and parks and things like that, sort of general areas that you sort of deal with while the weather's good. Are there any particular items or topics or areas that you tend to deal with once the weather turns a little bit colder?
Well, we always have to talk about making sure that we have the proper materials for roads, salt. 6.3. So okay, there you go. So salt for the roads. We got to make sure we got the equipment ready to go. As we know, we live in Illinois, and it's Halloween's coming up. We had snow a couple years ago on Halloween,
right.
So just trying to prepare and winterize and get things where they need to be.
Okay. Well, either our computer is possessed or our fearless leader is logged in here and worked some magic from behind the scenes. So we're going to try and go to a commercial here.
Okay.
Once again, we are joined by Mayor Tracy Welch. 217-648-5510, the number to call if you have a question or comment, and we would be glad to take that. We're here till 4:30, and as I said, as long as the technology cooperates here, we will be back in just a couple minutes. Maybe. And I believe we are back live, although I don't hear myself. So there we are. Now we're back live. And yeah, there's all sorts of things happening behind the scenes here. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, or in this case, behind the computer keyboard. We are in the 4 p.m. 411 talking with Lincoln Mayor Tracy Welch. And once again, 217-648-5510 if you have a question for the mayor or a comment about any particular issue around town or whatever it might be. Feel free to give us a call. We had a caller right as we went into commercial, so I was kind of hoping that individual would call back, but let's forge ahead here. As we talked about before in preparation for your visit, I often surf the social media pages a little bit to see what kinds of topics are being discussed in various chat groups and things like that. Yep. I've seen a few different posts about motor speeders as far as driving too fast on different thoroughfares through town. Obviously there's nothing you can do about that here and now, but might you have any tips or observations about that particular topic? If someone sees someone speeding, things they might do that would be better than just ranting about it on Facebook and it never gets resolved? Yeah,
absolutely. I myself are one of those people that gets frustrated with people speeding. It endangers a community. It endangers the driver themselves. We know where those heavily trafficked and high-speed areas are in town. So, for instance, one of those was the road that went through Lincoln College, right. And we have to be very careful about how we address those topics. But that particular one, we purchased some new speed signs, and those signs they have radar built into them, and there's one at each end of that road on Nicholson there, and it'll track the speed, the date, the time, and I believe it's got photo capabilities in there. We haven't implemented that, so we monitor that, and then that helps us know where we need to place law enforcement. Okay. One of my pet peeves is, quite honestly, Woodlawn. It's very busy. Right. It's a main thoroughfare, but I'm always cautious about people that blow the yellow and red lights. A very bad accident's going to happen one day because of that, and so that would be my word of advice to people. Just because the light's green, look both ways.
Right. Yeah. Never hurts to be a defensive driver. That's for sure. Yep. Well, we had a call, and I don't know if I accidentally hung up on them or they. I didn't get to them in time, but hopefully individuals will call back. Once again, 217-648-5510, or you can email us your question, 4 p.m. 411. All right, hopefully the third time's a charm here, so let's try going to the caller. Are you there, caller?
Yes, I am.
Okay, you're on the air with Mayor Tracy Welch.
Okay, I was wondering, when you leave the hospital and you get to Lincoln Parkway, you either have to go right or left. Why isn't that road open so you can go straight?
So that topic came before the council a number of years ago, and really what it boiled down to was money. If you know that road and you're familiar with it, that road that's behind the hospital, the city entered into an agreement with ALMH at the time, and the city paid for it. It was $1 million for that road that goes all the way out to now Woodlawn, because the YMCA was supposed to be built there. Right. Still optimistic it will be, but at the time we were given a cost estimate, and that road to go across to Short 11th is approximately $700,000. Yikes. And that was a few years ago, so the cost of materials has naturally gone up. Sure. It could even double for what we know. We haven't done an estimate, but I will say that the council recently approved a group of very passionate individuals that wanted to expand the bike and walking path. So we're applying for what's called an ITEP grant, and if we get that grant, then we can then make a pedestrian walkway across that road. It won't help for the traffic, right, but I think it's a good start to show that enhancement needs to be done, because we've had people that have tried to cross that road and have been hit and killed.
Right.
I was out there the other day seeing my father, and here comes somebody walking across that highway as well. So we're very optimistic that we'll get that grant, and there's a lot of people involved to make that happen, but that's really the history of why that road is not built yet.
Okay. Something else, we talked about the business, the cannabis business being approved by the council last night. Also, there was some activity about the dog park issue, which has been discussed off and on for a while now. Can you kind of update us on that?
Well, I try not to get too excited about this, but this is a topic that we have been trying to get done for several years, and it's come to the council in multiple variations and fashions.
Right.
And recently we said, let's take another stab at it. And so we have a new administrative assistant. Her name's Ashley Metelko, and she's very brilliant. We pulled her into the group with us, and we started talking about that. It's Alderman Bateman, Alderman Downs, myself, and her. And then we pulled in other department heads, but she put a very, very good presentation and packet together and did a lot of research on the benefits to the community and constituents that would like to use that park. And I'm very happy and pleased that the council chose to approve the building of a dog park. So that'll be happening here soon down on 8th Street. We just got to get the ball rolling on it.
Okay. Something else we talked about last time was the city has an app and that individuals can now use for a multitude of purposes. Have you seen more usage of that app? Is it kind of going the way you envisioned it? Is there maybe for those who weren't with us last time, maybe you can talk about what the capabilities of the app are and what kinds of things folks can do with it?
Yeah, so the app's called GoLink, and the idea is that you don't have to pick up a phone and call Mr. Landers or Mr. Woodhull or any of our department heads. If you're out and you see something that you feel needs attention, you just pull out the app if you've downloaded it on your phone, and you take a picture of the problem, you fill out some basic information, it tells you exactly where you're at from geolocation, and you submit the report. So you can get it in the hands of the city, we can address it, and then also we can start to track things. It's because that allows us to build a database. And then the beauty of it is you don't have to call back out there and say, hey, can you tell me the status of that? When we do the work, you'll get an update back on your phone that says problem resolved or whatever the other status is.
Right. And it has, as you mentioned, the geolocation. And didn't you also say you can take pictures and send those along with when you're submitting your request or your issue or whatever?
Yeah, that's the first thing it asks you when you pull it up. And it says, do you want to pull from your camera roll or do you want to take a new picture? And I've used it several times. It's easier, these individuals work for the mayor, but I talk to them all the time, and so it's easy for me to just pop something in the app, send it off, and I know they'll take care of it.
Right. And the name of the app was GoLink, L-I-N-C?
L-I-N-C.
As in Lincoln.
Yep.
How clever.
And it's, we had limited options to choose from on the naming, but it's on both iOS and Android.
Okay. And so just go to your iOS or Android app store, and I guess you would be downloaded free of charge, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and another feature about that's worth mentioning is that it also serves as a communication method for the city. Now, we haven't used it yet, but if you subscribe to that app, then when major things are happening in the city, then we can push out information to the community through that manner as well.
Oh, okay. So kind of like text notification. I mean, similar idea, although not an actual text notification.
Catastrophe alerts, things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, avoid certain places there's an accident, that type of information.
All right, very cool. Well, we made it through to 4:30, and looks like I think they're done playing with the computer here. So, I think we hit everything on our agenda. Once again, if you want to repeat the trick or treat with the mayor information, since we won't see you again until November, but want to get that information out for folks.
Yeah, Saturday, October 29th at 10 a.m. So
And,
bring the kids out and have a great afternoon.
And the initial meeting is at Latham Park.
Yes.
And you will be there dressed as something, but not tipping your hand yet as far as what that is.
Well, my wife, I love Jurassic Park, and she said I should go as a dinosaur. So
okay.
I don't know. Maybe we're leaning that way. We'll see.
All right. I guess show up on October 29th and you'll find out. So,
Yep.
All right. Very good. Well, Mayor Welch, I apologize for the technical issues, but thank you for joining us once again. As I mentioned, next week we will have Jennifer DeWeese from Capsule. She is the new CEO out there. And then in 2 weeks, Paul Cronin, the CEO of i3 Broadband, will be with us. But today we've once again, thank you to Mayor Welch. And we will be back next week at 4 p.m. with the 4 p.m. 411. Thanks for listening. The preceding program is a presentation of WLCN 96.3 FM and WLCNonline.com.